tight.
It was a pleasant surprise to find Easy Mike had actually beaten me across the Pacific. He left after me, but had got here before me, so it was really good to see him again.
Yeah, my new friend here. Give me a lift into town. Brilliant. Hiva.
Yeah.
So I'm Barry.
After the last difficult months at sea, now at last peace, it was time to take stock, repair my boat, my body, and my soul.
The Marquesas Islands were populated by the Polynesians about 150 BC. This is a recreation of what would have stood here at one time. It's a communal centre with huts and religious statues such as this guy who's, yes, well, not too well dressed. And these guys are called tiki. They're reproductions, but original stone tiki still exist all over the island. The complex was very beautiful and a great insight into life, how it was. Then I decided to leave and talk to a horse. Bonjour. The horse, however, only spoke French, so I didn't understand a word. Got a lift back to the boat with this lovely family in a rather overcrowded pickup. Nice chance to see the bay from a different angle, and also it was cooler than walking. Then it was back to work. Time to face the aftermath of my trip. Managed to get this part almost clean, but gonna have problems getting the rest of it off, I think. Time to get the tools out and fix my forestay. You can see the main pin there, not all the way through the fork. I couldn't repair it all the way at sea without loosening the rigging, so now's the time to do it. I got a compressor on there, managed to squeeze it all together and then get a new cotter pin through. Got these extra lines tied at the front here, just in case, but we can take those off now. That's what it should look like. There you go, and it goes through both sides. All done. There's an awful lot of work to do on this boat. She's suffered a lot from her journey. All I've got to do now is rack up the backstay again. You can see where I left a magic marker mark. Just there, just how much I've taken off. That's doubled up, of course, because there's one on the bottom. Tighten that up and that should be it. Was woken up in the middle of the night by a huge ship that had come to dock. She was so close to me in the anchorage, and made matters worse when she turned her bow thruster on. The force of the water coming past Draghi was really pulling hard on the anchor, and I was worried I had people anchored up behind me. The whole experience was a bit unnerving, but in the end got away with it. Nothing major happened, but it did give me a scare.
The anchor held. I'm amazed at that.
The next morning in daylight, you could see just how close she was. She was even closer when she came in, and the guys behind me here are real close to me. You could see why I was worried. The ship serves the islands. Remember, the islands, of course, are in the middle of the Pacific, so this ship plays a vital part in supplying the islands with goods, materials, and food, and so on. This amazing place is called the Semaphore. It's an old semaphore station and now serves as the headquarters for the local lifeboat crew, who actually it did help me when I came in, telling me information that I needed to know and kept an eye on me when I was in trouble. That also supplies some of the best Wi-Fi signal locally, has a great view, a great place to do your emails, and at night things like this happen, barbecues. So hey, what's not to like? Even though they're in the middle of the Pacific and the middle of nowhere, a lot of famous people have been to the Marquesas, including Paul Gauguin. This is a recreation of his house. It's in part of a complex which is a museum that celebrates his life. Inside are very accurate reproduction paintings. Though very clever, not really my cup of tea, I gotta say. So I had a quick look round there. What was more interesting to me was the stuff outside, some early stonework and an old canoe. It's all in bits. I like the glass fibre reinforcement. I tried to restore this, unfortunately not very well. Needed supplies, headed to a local supermarket, got myself 2 crates of beer, a couple of cases of milk and 2 cardboard boxes. Headed back to the dock, saw these people, I don't know what they were doing there. And then I had to set off on a mission. The mission was to find Paul Gauguin's grave. But first I needed transportation. This is the grave of Jacques Brel, who was a Belgian singer. To be honest, I'd never heard of him before, but he made his home here. Bought a piece of land up the way near where the boat is, and I believe built a house there. I always thought Gauguin was buried next to him, but it seems to be a vacant grave. Maybe that's where they're going to put me. But I'm going to have to see if we can find Gauguin. He's not here. I actually like graveyards. They're a great source of history. Where I lived back in the UK, there's a lot of graves that are connected with deaths at sea and military stuff from hundreds of years back, and it's fascinating to read the gravestones. But what I'm looking for is the grave of Paul Gauguin, who died in 1903, I think it was, famous painter. Bonjour, Monsieur Gauguin. I believe this is a copy of the original statue that he wanted by his grave. Found this on the ground. That'll have to do. Still not a bad view for your last resting place. Not bad at all. Come across these in a sort of jungly area around the bay going back to the boat. It's fascinating, almost like artwork. You can actually see the damage on the foresail. The green edging that goes up the sun strip has all been ripped and come apart, and it's filling up with air and it's acting like a big balloon, which is not good. That's on the list of things to do. They didn't have a sailmaker here, so I can either check it down the way a bit, check it out if there's anybody down there, or I'm going to get my own needle and thread out and do it. I'm just watching this headland, which is the end of the bay of Hiva. It's actually quite close. Just watching it. I've only got a few hundred meters to go, then I'm clear of it. But until I am, I'm just I don't like having rocks and things downwind of me. It's very, very scary and very unnerving. But Shadi likes them, that's the problem. Shadi will want to go over and have a look if she could. We got a couple of islands behind us where we've just come from, and over here we have another island which is an uninhabited island, or maybe it's an uninhabited island, one of the two. And in the distance, I normally wouldn't swing the camera around like this, but this is to make a point. You can just see it. There's the island that we're going to. I set off late. I know Mike set off, must have been 4 in the morning, because when I was up at 5 he'd already gone. And that was because of all the stuff that happened yesterday. Everything seemed to go wrong yesterday. One thing I didn't mention was the winch broke yesterday when we were trying to, well, it was before we started to haul out the second anchor. I noticed the winch had broken. So it's another thing I've got to sort out. But we've got to slow down because we're going to arrive at about 10 o'clock at night. So that's no good. So it's much easier. I've slowed the boat down. We're nice and comfortable. She's sweet as anything. I'm going to make some food, chillax and enjoy the evening. Have some, I think I'll only sleep like 2-hour shifts tonight. And I'll have AIS on and everything. But it should be okay. Should be all right. And take it nice and slow. I'm going to be careful, don't end up on that island by mistake, because that's only a few miles away. So I'll make sure Shadi stays in this direction. And we got 20 miles of sea room. So hopefully we'll be fine. And the wind, we're almost into the wind, so she's just tramping along real slow. Perfect. And the other thing today is my brand new main camera that I bought when I was in England. Had it delivered to my sisters. It was up here with me, and I was filming with it earlier on, and it got broken. Something fell on it and broke it. So back on the old camera, so I'm hoping that's working okay. Otherwise we'll have no more videos ever from an orange man. It's a Trump look, you know.
An awesome sight this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, the island of Fatu Hiva.
Sails down and we're on our way in, basically because we're getting downwind of where we need to be. This island, the island of Fatu Hiva, is one I nearly missed. I was going to make landfall here. Many people do before checking in because it's so incredibly beautiful, so I've been told. But because of being late and all the problems I had, I needed to get up to the big island to get some communications with the outside world. Here I don't think there's any internet at all. Anyway, Fatu Hiva, we're going into the Bay of Virgins. Oh yes, indeed. It's supposed to be absolutely gobsmackingly brilliant, as we would say in England. Fantastic, take your breath away, that kind of stuff. A once in a lifetime sight. At the moment, it's kind of keeping it secret because the sun came up from behind the island. I kept well clear because I slept part of the way down, and I slowed down because I would have arrived here at 10 o'clock last night. I didn't want to do that, stayed the night out at sea, had a nice meal and chillaxed and everything. So that was very nice. So this morning I ended up 5 miles a bit too far out, and the wind's coming directly from the island, so having to motor in now. But as I said, she's keeping a secret. I can't see anything but a silhouette. All I've got is the guide on the navionics on the tablet down here to tell me what kind of direction to go in. I can't see any detail, so we'll see just how beautiful this place really is, hopefully in a few minutes. I hope it's worth the trip. It's just taking me out of my way over 40 miles. It is awe-inspiringly awesome. 2 wars in one sentence there. That's got to be good. And there's a boat that's coming up behind me now. He's dragged anchor. He's coming out, so I'm giving him space. A much deserved beer after a long hot day. Couldn't have my anchor beer when I put the anchor down, because I put the anchor down about 10 in the morning, and even I'm not that bad. So cheerio and all that. Yeah, the islands are beautiful and getting more and more beautiful as we go through them. Those scenes of the hills around here and the rocks are just fantastic. And you saw the ones that sort of look a bit like that. They were originally called, this place was originally called the Bay of Penises. For obvious reasons, because a lot of rocks around here, it looks like a valley full of dicks. And the missionaries came, as they have done here in big style. There's crosses everywhere. There's even a church down the end of the valley here. And told the Maoris they couldn't, and the Polynesians rather, they couldn't worship their gods anymore. They had to be Christians. And they're like, oh no, Bay of Penises, that'll never do. We'll have to change the name. So they changed it to the Bay of Virgins. So this is the Bay of Virgins. It's very, very beautiful. I haven't seen any virgins yet, so I'm having a beer. And you'll never, you know, maybe a mermaid will swim up or something like that. Knowing my luck, it'll be a merman. Hello. No, bye. This person obviously installed showers for a living. Tell them I'm in a good mood.